for another thing for some funding because we all love money, and whether you're trying to get funding personally or for business, it's going to help both ways. So let's do this. All right, that just notified. All right. So if you're on TikTok, if you guys want to follow along and see the visual, it is on YouTube. But we also have a list you can purchase to be able to get all this information as well. And it is free inside of the credit community. So if you're not in there, get into it. So we're talking about strategies and lenders. A lot of you guys want money but don't know how to get the money. So we're just going to go and through a whole entire list of the best banks to go after, what it looks like with certain credit scores and things like that. So originally I was going to make this all about business, but I think it's really important to understand the importance of personal credit because a lot of my journey started with personal credit. I didn't really know much about business at all. And I don't think there's anything wrong with starting where you are. So if you don't have a business or you don't want a business and you really just want to be able to utilize credit cards on the personal side, we're going to be going through both personal and business because I think that's going to be helpful. All right, so the first things first. A lot of you guys probably want to know how do you go about this even if you have bad credit? I'm not a big advocate for bad credit at all, but I also understand everybody has to start somewhere. So I hope after this live, you guys will be able to gather a lot of information. And my main goal is for you to be able to understand how to apply strategically and get approved no matter where your profile is and what lenders are going to match the strength. Because a lot of people call and want Amex cards, but not realizing Amex sometimes is not the best card for you depending on where the score is. So it's not that you can never get approved for it, it's simply that you just are not understanding how lenders match certain cards that you go after. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how can you get a card or what it looks like to have a card between the scores of a 580 and a 640. All right. So in a 580 to a 640 credit range, we looked at that as a beginner lenders. That's when you're just starting off, you're starting to get those negative accounts removed, you're just getting your feet wet in the credit world. And if you wasn't on live yesterday, we talked about how to actually build your credit. But if you missed that, make sure you join the community because that live is there as well. And those of you guys who are just joining, I do have a live community that I do, a live that I have every single Tuesday that we go over in depth all of these topics. So if you're interested in that, it's completely free. You can click the link in bio and join the community because we are there every week giving out this heat. All right, so let's talk about lending matches. So a 580 to 640 credit score is considered beginning lender, right? We have a 640 to a 700. It was what most people love and most people always call about, right? I want a 700 credit score. That makes you feel like you made it. That's a mid-tier lender. You're not really premium yet, but you're almost there. And anything above a 700 is considered premier lending, premium. You can most likely get whatever it is you're looking for as long as the profile is structured correctly. All right. So matching your credit profile to the right lender is going to be key and it's going to stop you from feeling like you're not moving the needle with your credit. So if you're at a 580 credit score, you're not going to be going after premier or top credit cards because your credit can't support it. You're going to have to stay in your lane. And a lot of what credit is a game. And as long as you understand how to play the game, you will never get discouraged and you'll always be able to get to the next level. So matching your credit profile to the right lender and the tier is going to be extremely important. So, and if you guys have any questions, you can drop them below and I'll try to answer as I go along. Same thing for those of you guys who are watching on YouTube. All right, so beginner personal credit cards. What are they? They are probably, in my opinion, not the sexiest cards. They don't have the best rewards, but they're definitely a way to get started. And I still have my first credit card that I ever purchased. The one I ever got. I think I got my first credit card when I was like 16. So the first one for your personal credit lenders are going to be Capital One. Capital One, you guys are probably familiar with it. They're sending you stuff in the mail all the time. Like they market to people that have a lower credit limit. They are considered starter cards. So they're flexible with approvals, they help you with rebuilding, and they're super accessible, and they're a lot more lenient than somebody like an Amex, right? So these lenders, all the ones that I'm talking about, if you guys just joined, are going to be our low level tier cards. So if you have a credit score between a 580 and a 640, these are going to be where you're going to live. These are going to be your foundational cards. They're going to start your credit journey. So then we have Discover. Discover is good for a thin profile. It helps improve your credit score, and it helps with people seeking to grow. A lot of times, Discover doesn't have like rewards and things like that. So it's not going to be the most attractive card to you when it comes down to doing a little bit more advanced things. But if you're just trying to get your foot in the door, right? Discover is the way to go. It's easy. They work with people with a 580 to 640 credit score, and why not get approved for something so you have some building blocks? And what a lot of what you'll learn about lending and getting credit cards is that credit card companies look at what the other gave you, and then they'll give you something. So if one company gave you 1,000, they might give you 12. If another company gave you 1,000, they might be like, oh, I want to have one up on them, so I'm gonna give you five. They literally look at whatever credit limits you have, and they try to match it or go better. Um, and then we have Credit One. I really, really can't stand Credit One. I think they just stink. I like, it's just my personal opinion. But if you cannot get approved for Capital One, if you can't get approved for Discover, then Credit One is going to be your alternative. But I do feel like Discover and Capital One have a better relationship. They have more products that you can utilize. So I would recommend, if you're at the 580 or the 640 range, that you should get Capital One Discover first. And if all of those fail, then you should move your way into Credit One. All right. So if you're beginning, understand this is where you'll live. This is where your wheelhouse will live. And if you're like, hey, where do I get this information? Do you have a list? I don't know if I'm going to remember all of this. I do have a lender list that I have. It is going to be linked in my bio, or you can also go inside the community. The community is completely free for the first 7 days, and you can get this in the community as well. So you do whatever you want to do, but all of the resources are there. And those of you on YouTube, if you're following along, you guys have the list already to you. All right, and if you have any questions about anything we're talking about, just drop in the chat and I will stop and answer anything you guys need. All right, so next thing we have is the, sorry. Okay. All right, so the next one we have is mid-tier personal credit lenders. So you're not really in the beginning, but you're not at the 700 yet. And that's a lot of where I lived, a lot in my credit journey. I could not figure out how to get to the 700, but I was able to get to the 650. Hence why the name of the company is 650. When I got to 650, I started to see a lot more opportunities. And this is where the mid cards shined for me, and when I really started to feel like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this credit thing. So what are your mid-tier personal credit cards? They're going to be your Chases, right? And a big thing to know about Chase is they don't want to be the last person you apply for, right? They don't want to be the people that you go to when all else fails. Chase does have a rule where if you apply for a certain amount of lines of credit before them, they will actually deny you. So let Chase be somewhere of the beginning to the middle of your journey, because if they're the last in the pack, they just don't want to work with you. It's like being with somebody and they're mad because you had partners before them. They're just a little fickle with that. So we have Chase. Chase requires a strong credit history with proven track records and responsible credit management. So the reason why Chase is not going to be in your tier one, right, is because Chase requires um, Chase requires. Hey,
How you doing?
good. How are you?
I'm slow. What you doing?
Sorry, guys. I don't know. I'm just doing TikTok. So give me a second. All right. I don't know. Bear with me. I'm sorry. I'm still getting into this streaming thing. All right. So we were talking about mid-tier personal credit lenders. So with Chase, backtrack. When we talk about mid-tier, you see where Chase said the requirements, strong credit history with proven track records and responsible credit management patterns. You don't want to go after Chase in the beginning phase, because the beginning phase you don't have all this. You don't have a good proven track record. You don't have strong credit. You're just starting out. So you see why Chase would be the middle tier, and it won't necessarily be in the beginning, because you just don't have all of the foundations that are needed to be able to sustain getting Chase or getting approved. So it's not that you're not qualified for Chase, you just have to understand there's levels. And Chase is one of those things where it needs to see a little bit more history before it's going to go ahead and give you a credit limit. All right. So we have Citizen. I love Citizen for a balance transfer. Every time I find myself in a little bit of a debt crisis, I always utilize Citizen. So if you guys don't know what balance transfers are, let me break it down to you. Say you have a card where you maxed it out, right? And it's taking a really long time for you to pay this thing down, and you're like, I just wish that this card didn't have any interest on it. I can't keep getting ahead. It's really not working. So what happens is you would apply for another credit card, and Citizen is a great place to do this because they always have this, and I think that they have the best offers. So you're gonna go and you're gonna apply for another credit card that has a 0% interest on it. 0% interest means that you are not paying interest on the balances that you're carrying over every single month, right? So you go apply for a 0% interest card, and you can actually transfer the balance from that card that has all this interest that's keeping you in debt, keeping you up at night, stressing you out. You can transfer it to the card that you just opened. That's what we call a balance transfer, taking debt from one card and you're moving it to another. And Citizen does a phenomenal job with this, and I think it's great for consolidation. However, you have to understand you're not going to be doing this in the start. You're going to have to do this towards the middle of your journey, because we still need a little bit of a foundation to be able to showcase that we can withhold a limit over there that can support the balance transfer. But I absolutely love Citizen for mid tier and for good debt consolidation strategies. So the next one I also love is Bank of America. Bank of America is a relationship bank, right? Um, I don't love them for doing everyday banking with. That's my personal preference, but I do love them for the sense of being able to get cards in your business name, being able to get some really good reward points. They have a really good loyalty situation over there. So Bank of America is also going to be something that you're going to go to when you're in that range of a 640 to a 700. It's not basic, it's not low level, it's really in the medium, and they are really good with having a relationship with them, because they'll let you utilize a lot more products and services with them when they see that you've done business with them for a while. And that's another thing to let you guys know. The biggest thing about getting funding or getting lenders or getting credit cards and all those things is that you have to build relationships. Relationships are key. They're going to be what changes the needle in your credit journey. They're going to move the needle rather. Relationships matter, because the more relationships you have with bank, the more you're able to utilize that relationship to get other things with them, right? It's like when you're in a relationship with somebody and you want to be able to get more out of them. So you start doing a little more. You start showing a really good track record. You start bringing flowers and all those things. And then now all of a sudden you're getting approved, or you're getting treated a little better than you probably were doing when you were doing bare minimum, or you didn't have that good relationship base with them. So Bank of America is going to be what you're going to look for that. And then we have American Express. American Express is what everybody is striving for and loves and wants to be a part of. American Express is one of those accounts that you feel like you get American Express, you made it, and I feel you. However, I will tell you a couple things about American Express that maybe you didn't know. Like, if you apply for one thing with American Express, right, then you would have an open portal to all of their products with just one inquiry. So let's say you go get an Amex credit card, and then you're like, I think I want a Delta now. right? So you can go back and apply for a Delta without actually having to run your credit all over again. So that's my favorite thing about Amex is that you get to utilize them as much as you need to without hurting your credit. But keep in mind when you do these are charge cards. And charge cards basically mean that you owe that balance every single month and you can't necessarily carry a balance over. So American Express is like the rewards programs are great. They have great customer service. I love this for travel. It is like when everybody's talking about they want to travel for free. American Express is going to be the the holy grail to that. If you haven't saw, I did a whole video on how I traveled for a whole year just using Amex. So Amex to me is something that you should definitely have in your arsenal, but to keep in mind that it does come with the annual fee, right? So one thing I did wrong is I found out how to run an Amex play and I could apply for an Amex using one card, I mean one inquiry, and I got all these cards right at one time and I got all of these annual fees. And those annual fees will take you clean out if you don't know how to manage them. So I do not recommend that just because you know you can get more than one using one inquiry that you do that. Have some management because those annual fees will definitely take you out. All right, so now everybody wants a high limit personal credit card. Like I told you guys, a, I'm not one to say only get business and only get personal. I understand the benefits of both because I've been on both sides. I've used my personal to help me achieve things that I needed to achieve to get into the business world. So if you're where you're at is where you're at. So don't feel like you're behind, that you're missing out on anything because you're not. If you're interested in getting personal cards because you got strong personal credit right now and you're not interested in getting a business, we're going to go over how to get personal credit limits as well because those things matter. And the higher limits you have in the personal world, the higher limits you'll get in the business world. So getting personal credit lines and higher limits in personal credit is just as important as going after business credit and getting business lines of credit because they, like I told you guys, credit is a game, right? So they're going to match what you already have here and try to give you what you're getting or more. So with high limit personal lenders, like we just talked about, the Amex is probably going to be the holy grail. Strong spending power, no present limits on most of the cards if you qualify. So that's like your gold and your platinums, but they are charge cards, right? So I like to look at these for things that investing purposes. Like if you want to go do a big project, maybe you can use your Amex, or if you want to operate your business through your Amex, or if you're somebody who doesn't have a business and you just want to simply use an Amex, you can use it for like the gold is really good and really good everyday card. So things like that are what you're going to use Amex for, and they're really good at giving you a limit that's favorable. My first $10,000 credit limit was from Amex, so I think that they are a really really good beneficial um, card to have. So then we have Chase. Chase is also going to be great, like we talked about, your mid tier card. They're good for travel rewards and they definitely give out high limits, and they're good for lifestyle spending. A lot of people like Chase for their everyday card and for everyday spending. And my favorite, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, Navy Federal's prayed out. I love Navy. Navy Federal gave me my highest limit to date. They have great products. They are really, really for the people, and they're going to make sure that you're taken care of, and their products are amazing. They have their pledge loan for the beginners. They have their secured cards for the beginners. They have their Navy Federal cash reward card. They have the Navy Federal flagship card. I think they have so many great cards for people who are not necessarily just getting started, but kind of have their feet wet a little bit. And their relationships, as long as you have a good relationship with them, they're going to take care of you. When me and my mom went to go buy her car, we didn't have to run her credit through the credit, through the car dealership because we had a strong relationship with the credit union and we were able to get her a lender for 5% opposed to the 14% that most of you guys probably are getting cards for right now. Cards are going from anywhere from 14 to 29% APR. So imagine having a strong credit union that you have in your arsenal, maybe Navy Federal, maybe your local credit union where you can go to when you're trying to apply for things and you get the best interest rate. That is really how you utilize credit to another level. But I'll talk about how to purchase cars and all that on another slide. But for the sake of this, high limit personal lenders are Amex, your Chases, and your credit unions. These are going to be considered your premier lenders. They offer the highest credit limits, the best rewards, and you need to have a credit score around a 700. That is when you start really maximizing your purchasing power and your benefits. So, what if you're not interested in credit cards and you're like, I just want to get some personal lenders. I need some money like right now, today. I want to go start that business, but I don't have the LLC to support it. But I need capital. I've been there. And one company I used was Lightstream. The interest rate was okay. It wasn't something that's breaking the bank, but it's definitely not something that's super comfortable, right? So Lightstream, it's usually looked at as an auto loan product. However, you can, if you decide you don't want to use it for that, it will turn into a personal loan, right? So it's premier borrowing. It has excellent advantages, and you can get capital within 24 hours. So if you apply and you get approved, then you'll be able to get that capital in your bank account the next day. And I don't know about you, but when you're trying to do something expeditiously, money the next day is going to be powerful. So we also have SoFi. SoFi is also good. I know a lot of people that love SoFi. Strong credit buying power, great support, great benefits, and a lot of people use it for debt consolidation as well. So if you're somebody who's stuck in debt and you need a loan to be able to get out of that debt, that's what we call debt consolidation. SoFi is going to be where you want to go. It is a great place to utilize getting yourself out of some trouble with debt if that is what you're in or that's what you need. We also have Upstart, Lending Club, and Upgrade. All of them all work the same. As long as you have favorable personal credit, these are going to be a really good resource. But the one personally that I use for a business venture that I actually failed at, which was Airbnb, I used Lightstream to fund that business. Even though it went wrong, I was able to get the capital within 24 hours of starting that business. And I did use my personal credit. I don't suggest that you use your personal credit for business stuff, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I'm only here to keep it real with y'all and tell y'all how I've gotten to this point. And before I understand business credit at all, before it became the popular thing, I utilized my personal credit to help me achieve to the next level. So I can only tell you guys what I did, but I also want you guys to be better than me. So then we got to get into business because that's probably what you're all here for, right? I want to talk about business. I got this business. I need money. I hear that you can get funding with LLC that's new, all of those things. So what does it look like to get funding through credit cards with your business? A lot of times people don't realize that credit card stacking is another way of funding a business. You're just doing it through credit cards. And I think this is the best way, especially when you're starting out a business, because you're not going against the clock when it comes down to interest, right? So if you decide to go get funding for your business and you're doing it through credit cards and you utilize 0% interest credit cards, that will allow you to buy some time to figure out the business, get it right. I told you guys that with Airbnb I failed and I also had a loan out. So I was in a double whammy as soon as I got started because that loan had interest right away. So if I understood how to use 0% interest credit cards sooner, I probably would have went about it a lot different. That's why I'm telling you guys and I want you guys to learn from my mistake. So on here, you'll see that it says Capital One. I want you guys to know that you should never get Capital One for your business, okay? Never. Because what's going to happen is it's going to report to your personal and your business. And the whole reason why we get business credit is so that we do not have to share the information we're doing on our on our business to our personal, especially when we're leveraging, especially when we're utilizing these cards to fund a business. Why would I want my personal credit to know that I'm maxing out a card in the business world? Because now it's going to affect my debt to income ratio. And if you guys don't know what that is, we talked about that yesterday and understanding what it means for your debt to income ratio to be high or to be low, right? So if you know that you're getting business credit to be able to go and leverage in the business world or do a business venture, then you never want the business credit card to report to your personal because it's probably going to be maxed out and you trying to figure out your business, right? So we are not ever getting any Capital Ones or Discover cards when it comes down to your business. It is not beneficial. So then we have American Express. I love American Express for business. Like I told you guys, I have a bunch of them. The rewards are good, the benefits are good. You get all types of perks when it comes down to utilizing American Express. And what better product to use in business than American Express? Because if you're operating at a high level, you have ad budgets, you have payroll, all of those things. You can utilize this card to purchase those things, and now you're getting a lot of benefits back. And that's how I be traveling for free and being able to do things, because utilizing that card allows me to get money back in return, right? So then we have Chase. Chase is also really good in both personal and business. And then we have Bank of America. And if you guys haven't noticed, right, these cards are great in personal and they're great in business. That's why relationships matter. So if you have a strong personal Chase card, you have a strong Amex Chase card, you have a strong Bank of America Chase card, Bank of America business card, then you're going to have a strong business credit cards. Having good personal translates into business, and now you're able to leverage your personal into your business, and now the wheel goes round. A lot of people try to skip the foundation and personal because you think, oh, I'm just going to go get business credit and that's just what I need to do, and all those things. But you see the pattern of, okay, I built my personal, I had strong connections over there, I got an Amex over there, I got a Bank of America over there, I got a Chase over there, and even a Capital One maybe on the personal side. And now I'm ready for some business funding. So I'm going to go right back to the relationships I've already built so I can get some funding for my business, because I've already built those relationships. You see how everything starts to correlate together and everything starts to make sense. You utilize great relationships in the personal world to translate into business, and that's how you get these high limits, and that's how you see people getting these type of fundings that they're getting, because the relationships are strong. Outside of other things, but I really want to hone in how relationship lending is so important. So then we have business loans and business lines of credit. What if you don't want to go credit card stacking and you don't want to utilize credit card? Well, you have other options. The first one is Blue Vine, business lines of credit with flexible payment terms. It basically, we learned about revolving and installment. It's going to be considered an installment. So you're going to get a business line of credit. They're going to tell you how much to pay back every month, and that's just how that goes, right? I like lines of credit as well, or loans, especially when it's a bigger project. However, I personally will go after credit cards first. That's just my personal opinion. And I think you, as somebody who might be new in the business world, we do not need any stressors on us. So not all the time business loans will be good, but Blue Vine is definitely a good one. We have Fundbox as well as another really good lender. And just understand that where you are in your business journey should determine what kind of capital and how you're getting your capital. A lot of people want to build businesses, and a lot of people want to hit the ground running, and it's like, I need funding right now, and don't realize that you have to pay all this back eventually. So what makes the most sense for you and the journey you're at is going to determine how you go about your funding. Okay, now y'all know I love credit unions. I love me a credit union. A credit union and me go together real bad. So I told you guys my favorite one is Navy Federal. Strong funding approval. You literally just have to do business with them and they got your back forever. It's like an amazing best friend that they down for you for life as long as you do right by them, right? Then we have PenFed. PenFed is really good too. I personally don't have PenFed, but I heard some great things about them. I've also helped a couple of my clients be able to get approved with auto loans, personal credit, things like that. Um, Over there. So I think PenFed is also something to have in your back pocket if you're not a Navy Federal person. And listen, let's say you can't get in the Navy, you're not feeling Penn, and you just want to utilize a credit union. My mother has her local credit union, and they do just as good as Navy. They give the same amount of benefits. They're really good when it comes down to auto loan. They are just, I think any credit union you go to, as long as it's a credit union that you trust and you've built a relationship with, it's gonna help. Credit unions are known to give high limits, low interest rates. So if you're not utilizing credit unions, I want you to get off of this call today and go get a credit union, whether it's Navy Federal, PenFed, or your local credit union. Credit unions are slept on so much, but you don't realize that traditional banks are always going to give you a higher rating than a credit union. Credit unions are small, they're for the people, they want to feel exclusive, so they're always going to be more in favor of the people. I'm telling you, how many people have saved money utilizing credit unions is insane. My mother went to go get a car, short story, and when she got the car, the interest rate was 5% versus the 14.99 that I guys told you about. The difference in between what she was going to pay for the 14.99 versus the 5% was about $150 on a car note. So if you can save $150 just by understanding where to go get what from, it will literally make your whole entire life easier, because now you'll start to do things with strategy. This is what the whole call was about: understanding how to go about things strategically, not just doing things because you see it on the internet, knowing where your credit score is, what can be favorable to you at that time, and grow from there. And a lot of people do not utilize credit unions like they should, and it's something that can really, really help you save some money in the long run. All right, so we talked about how do you build your credit yesterday. We talked about what it looks like to get favorable lenders based on where your credit is, whether you're in the 580s or you're all at the 700. There are options for everybody when it comes down to getting money for whether it's your personal or your business, but you just have to be mindful that you have to build the profile correctly in order to be able to get access to the capital. So if you're struggling with that, right, you're like, my credit stinks. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to start, but I also have no money right now to be able to afford a credit repair company. I understand. As much as I want to do all the work for you, I do understand that sometimes I have to meet you exactly where you are. So that's why I created 650 Academy. I love what I do. I love teaching. So every single week I go live there at 7 p.m. going in depth about the things that we talked about on this call. So we're talking about how to really fill out a credit card application, what it looks like to go into credit unions, and maybe the credit union is a Navy Federal. How do you get access to that? Like all the ins and outs of how to really get ready for funding, whether you're trying to get funding for your business or your personal. I go live every single week teaching you about that. And if you want me to look at your credit report, I'll do that with you as well. I want to be your support system. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel like you have somebody that's in your corner rooting for you, and will be able to help you through the journey of either it's credit repair or just trying to get better knowledge about credit as a whole. So if you're not in the community, I really want you to go and try it out. It's completely free for the first 7 days, right? It is completely free. So go and see how you like it. Connect with like minded people, have some accountability partners, share your experience, tell a friend and tell a friend. It's at your own pace. You have DIYs over there, so you can learn how to fix your credit by yourself and take that information and teach your family. You can learn funding strategies. You can learn about some life insurance. I just wanted a place where you can feel supported and learn as much as you can. And we also have a book club that meets every single Thursday. We are on our fourth book now. So my main goal is so that you guys know that you're not alone. Whether you're like, I want to make a difference this year, I want this to be my year, or I know some people in my family that need their credit fixed, but I know they can't afford it, so let me go learn. Whatever it is, I want to support you. So please click the link in bio. For those of you on YouTube, it's in the link. The funding list is in the link as well if you guys want to grab what it is or what the tiers look like. And if you missed out, all of it's there. But I just want to be able to help you guys at wherever you are at the journey, wherever you are. So visit 650credit.com or click the link in any of my bios, wherever you're watching, and you can test out the Credit Academy for completely free. All the lives are there. All the templates are there, all the lists are there, all the motivation you need is there, and I'm there every single week, me, live at 7 p.m. It was a pleasure. I hope you guys learned something from this live. I appreciate it, and we will be back soon to be talking about how to build your credit from scratch.